There we go.
Welcome back to another edition of the Ohio State of Mind podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Michael Chen. The other side of me is Josh Keatley. It is Wednesday, June 6, 2024. This is episode number Carlos Hyde, 34. And we finally got another college football, NCAA college football trailer. It is coming. I think we're less than a month away from the game's release, and I think a lot of people are excited. Josh, have you pre-ordered a copy yet?
I have not pre-ordered a copy. I just upgraded my Xbox this past Saturday, so I took all my old 360 and my old NCAA games, and I bid them farewell. And
You go digital or disc?
No, I got the disc one.
Okay.
One. They were talking about my girl plays those games. She plays not those games. She plays like Killer Clowns and Dead by Daylight and stuff like that. So
yeah. So you wanted a little backwards compatibility there?
Yes.
Makes
But before we get to that, though, is Carlos Hyde your favorite 34?
Carlos Hyde's the first 34 that came to mind.
I don't think there's too many.
Yeah.
You got Jeff Logan and Raymond Harris. The other ones that I can think of.
Ooh, the Ultra back. I don't mind that.
I'm thinking that Carlos Hyde's probably still my favorite, but the Quiet Storm probably comes a second. You know.
Let's see.
And then Jeff Logan with an underrated third. Jeff Logan doesn't get enough credit because he took over for a 2-time Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The game comes out July 19th, which you probably already knew because Phil's message in Slack was about my misuse of June 19th. So yeah, but that game comes out. I have not pre-ordered it yet, but very exciting. Did you pre-order it yet?
I have not. Probably will within the next week or so here. The question is, what version am I going to get?
Yes.
The MVP version, that top tier, that $150 one, I'm not super interested, to be honest with you. You do get the game early with all these extra bonuses and all that stuff.
But you get the game early with the second level too.
Do you? Oh, okay.
Yes.
But still though, I'll earn all those things. I don't care about the extras that they give you. I've never been a guy that, I'm a pretty avid gamer. I play a lot. I've got an Xbox. I got a PlayStation. The most recent versions of them, and I never buy those. The extra version, the bigger, the extra fancy stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I'm not.
But the 3 days early.
The 3 days early is. Yeah, but I can wait though. I've got an infant running around. I'm not gonna have a ton of time to play initially, anyways. I do have the what's that called? It's not the portable one, but it's the smaller handheld with the screen that you can play in your house. I can't remember what it is. Yeah, my brother got it for me for Christmas this past year, and I can play in bed. So I will probably be playing a lot in bed. But because you don't need sound, most of the time, if I'm gonna play, I won't play a game on there. But I can do all the recruiting and all that stuff on there pretty easily. So I just again, I'm just not a guy that goes out and buys that big copy. Yes, you do get Madden. If you buy the MVP, that top tier, the $150 tier, you get Madden. I think you get Madden. I think you do get Madden early, but I don't play Madden.
Madden blows, dude. No one plays Madden anymore.
I just don't play Madden. So right off the bat, the perks of having the $150 version for me just doesn't make sense. So I'll probably end up just getting I'll just probably pre-order the basic, which I think they hiked up the prices recently on games. It used to be $60, and I think it's $70 now, right? So, not a huge hike, but semi-significant. I wish it stayed at that $60 range, but I'm gonna fork up 70 plus tax for this bad boy. So, I'm excited. That new trailer pop. You got a chance to see it, Josh. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it on Twitter. I just saw a couple screen grabs. What'd you think of it? I did see a couple of screen grabs of like them coming out and doing dot in the eye and
Yeah.
all that. But you got a chance to watch it. What'd you think?
Well, it was cool, man. I think that what's going to make this game cool is that they had so much time to make it that they decided to use a lot of that extra time to really
11 years.
yeah, right. They used that extra time. Well, 'cause it was supposed to come out last year too, and they delayed it a whole year.
Right.
And I think that was probably the best decision too,
Yeah.
because they really wanted to make sure that it's not just about the big schools, but it's also about the small schools, right? The big theme I think was like everybody has a favorite team or something like that, or you're someone's favorite team or whatever. And I think that's really cool, right? So you're going to see like the Purple Haze at East Carolina, or they showed like the Kennesaw State guys going hoot hoot or whatever. The Army students in the stands jumping around. That's another thing too. They added a lot of music, right? They showed a preview of, or I can't remember if it was on the trailer or someone shared it. But Penn State was playing Mo Bamba. It was like a 3rd and 1 with Michigan and made them go off sides. It was kind of cool, right? But the cool thing for Ohio State fans is that they showed Script Ohio, which is really cool. I don't remember that ever being in a video game. They even showed the guy Dot in the Eye, which is awesome.
It's not the tuba. What is
it? The sousaphone.
Is it the sousaphone?
Sousaphone, I believe. But they showed him Dot in the Eye, which is great. That's really cool that they're getting those that in there. They went through a story about how
they do have to rework the outfits for the band.
I saw that.
Yeah, it didn't look all that great. It looked pretty generic in mine.
It's not just I don't have an issue with the way the band looked, but they zoomed in on
the eye, right?
And he's wearing like a jacket, like
it's it's just like, wrong. That's just wrong.
Yeah,
right.
Well, yeah, and if you're gonna do it,
if you're gonna you got to redo the whole right.
Yeah, or zoom out, right? Do it. However, I don't expect if you're gonna zoom in like that, you have to have the detail that you see, right? So I agree with you there. Hopefully they rework that. There's still time, right? I saw a lot of people on Twitter were not happy about it, but yeah, man, it looks really cool. I know that they talked about how they've worked with a lot of schools, and a lot of schools sent over their information. I know Matt Brown at Extra Points, I think is the name of his site, listed some of those things out. One of the things that there was a fun story about how they recorded the OHIO chant. So that's going to be in the game. They recorded that shouting down from a parking garage or some shit, which is cool. They talked about having Zombie Nation. They're going to have the student sections in the right spot, stuff like that. I thought it was really cool too. They talked about the dynamics of the dynasty, which you and I both are dynasty guys. Where your team sucks, no one's going to show up. The stands will be empty, but the better you do, the more people will show up. Yada yada yada.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. So it looks cool, man. It's hard to not be excited for it. I'm a bit of a pessimist, as anybody who listens to this podcast knows. So I was kind of thinking it was going to get delayed. I didn't think it was ever going to happen because the logistics they still don't quite make sense in my mind. Because I know that they're paying some of these players a little bit more than they're paying others, but I think that so many of these guys wanted to be in the video game that they were able to make it happen, which is cool. But yeah, man, we'll see. I'm just hoping I'm hoping it's decent. I don't expect it to be good because I'm setting myself up for failure. I'm just hoping it's decent.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it should be decent. I mean, I can't see why it won't be. I mean, there's so much like anticipation and hype and.
They had a lot of time.
Like you kind of figure like it's got to be good. I wouldn't say it has to be good, but
the last NCAA game, the last college football game that came out was 2 generations ago. So I think even if the game sucked, by comparison, it's gonna look phenomenal just by comparison. Because I mean, if you're like most people are like me and you, where they don't even play Madden anymore. I mean, I know that. Everybody's played Madden, right? But it's not like, I went 20 seasons deep in my NCAA dynasty. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that in Madden. I'm going like 3 seasons and I get bored of the shit. You know what I mean? But at college football games are just different, right? So yeah, you're
Lots.
you're playing. Yeah, you're playing those. You're comparing. You're going to have more of a direct comparison rather than compare it to other sports games because you're just looking forward to having college football back.
Right.
Even if the graphics aren't up to the tier of something like Madden, as long as the recruiting and the dynasty and the stadiums and the jerseys are in depth, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be very happy.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think I'm gonna be pretty excited about it. I'm excited that like we talked about before, man. I'm gonna fire up Ohio State dynasty, make them win like back to back to back to back to back to back to back national champions. But and then I'll once I get the hang of the game and how it works, because it's new, it's different. You're not gonna go in there and dominate right away, unless you pick Ohio State or Alabama, Georgia, one of those teams. But I like to get my feet wet first before I start diving into the smaller schools. I know you're probably going to dive into a smaller school right away.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm immediately going to like Rice.
Right, right. Yeah. So I'll get it. I'll get a couple seasons under my belt before I branch out to a different team. But it's just so exciting. It's a game that I played a lot. Growing up in college, my friends and I would gather around the TV. This is, I went to Ohio State in late, 99-04. So, I mean, that was like the beginning stages of the game. And then on top of that, no social media, we had AOL Instant Messenger back then, right? So like, you're popping up your like away message on AOL, like I'm in class or I'm dominating my buddies at NCAA or, whatever it would be. And, so like that was like a big source of our entertainment. We'd sit there and, winter stays and not going to lie, I didn't lose very often. For the most, I was really good. I was really, really good. Like my friends hated playing video games against me back in the day. And I've lost my touch a little bit because I don't play nearly as much. But man, I used to, NCAA, I dominated in Halo. We played Bond all the time and I ran shit in that too. I wish that back then being a professional video gamer was an option because I probably would have at least looked into it. I was that good. Like I literally never like I cannot remember an NCAA loss. And when I played Halo, I lost one time. And it was back in the day, 4-way screens, there's no online playing and everything. So like, if we had like 4 or 5 of us, we'd rotate in and out, losing lowest score would jump out. And when I lost that one time, my buddies went absolutely nuts. I mean, they had it out for me. And like, I knew all the maps. I knew where all the guns were, like everything, like literally everything. And, I didn't lose by much, but I lost. And, they had a party, like it was like that. So, I'm super excited. I can't wait to fire it up. Unfortunately, MLB The Show is going to have to take a back burner for a little bit when that pops up. But I cannot explain to you. I can't put into words how excited I am because like it's just taking me back. It's 11 years is a long time. It's a really long time. And like a lot of us would fire up our 360s just to play every once in a while. I literally brought mine, it was at my parents' house and, thank God my mom didn't throw it away. And, I went out and grabbed a new copy and, had the Xbox because I sold it. I don't know why I sold it, but I did. I think I sold my Xbox 360 when I upgraded to the new Xbox.
Oh, yeah, everybody did.
So I sold all the games along with it. And, you kind of look back, you're like, I wish I didn't do that. I mean, to buy it again wasn't super expensive. I think it was like $20 or whatever. But still, you get $5 for a game
I'm not gonna lie,
you go and turn it in.
I spent $100 on NCAA 14.
Did you really? When?
COVID.
That's why.
Yeah, COVID.
Because I bought it. I've had it for. I've had this copy for like 5 years, 6 years, maybe longer. Probably longer actually. I had it before. I definitely had it before my wife and I started dating, and we've been together for 6 years. So
there you go.
yeah, no, yeah. Wait, it's definitely before that. So I've had it for a while. And yeah, I'm just like, I can't, I seriously, I can't, I'm so excited. You know, the trailers are cool and everything. The trailers are awesome to see. You know, the graphics look amazing. Something that you and I talked about before the show started. I saw a screen grab of Colorado Stadium next to their actual stadium, and damn, video game hyped them up and hooked it up because it looks way better in NCAA than it does in real life. So I'm just, you know, those little details, those like little tiny things, you know, I'm super excited to see, you know, how they pull it off and what they do. I'm just, you know, again, no words. I'm just so excited.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. They've come a long way since the very first college football game. I believe it was called like Bill Walsh's college football. Right. And Ohio State was actually just named Ohio. Or no, were they named Ohio or Columbus?
I think they might be Columbus.
I can't remember. It'd be a good Google. But yeah, they've come a long way. Very exciting. Very exciting.
Super exciting. All right, let's get into actual football talk a little bit. As fun as chatting about the NCAA trailer. The NCAA passed a couple of rules over the past few days. The significant, you know, there's some transfer rules. We'll get into that. Coaches, 10 is not a number anymore. It is unlimited. We'll get into that in a second. And on top of that, they changed the recruiting calendar as well. They're giving they're adding a couple more dead periods so the teams can focus a little bit more on certain things. Like ball prep. Excuse me. That's something that Ryan Day actually complained about back in, I can't remember, was it the early signing period or the second February signing period, but he complained about the fact that, you know, he's got to go out recruiting instead of practicing and getting prepared for a bowl game. And it was a valid point, extremely valid point. I'm sure he wasn't the only coach to be complaining about that because, you know, one coach is, you know, typically one coach who complains about one thing, it's not going to, you know, the NCAA is not going to do something. But if multiple coaches are complaining about it and making it known that, hey, you know what, we need to change this recruiting calendar we currently have isn't really working for what we're trying to accomplish, especially now with the expanded playoff. You know, previously with the college football playoff being at 4 teams, you're really only talking about 4 teams having that issue. Now we're talking about 12 teams, which is a good portion of the collection of top teams across the country. So it made a lot of sense that the NCAA made these rules. Josh, what are your initial thoughts on all these new rules that the NCAA just made?
So I like the recruiting rules. You and I we've talked about this a lot. You know, I'm always a fan of limiting as far as, you know, they're attacking these high school kids. You know what I mean? Let's make it quick and simple and easy, like the old school way where we talked about that before. So anything that allows them to kind of chill back and ease off those rules recruiting wise, I'm cool with. The transfer portal, we've talked about that too. It's become the wild, wild west, right? You know, you got guys that are entering the portal a month and a half. I was on a podcast last week, and I mean, as embarrassing as it was, I named a guy that was in the portal. He was at another school. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? You know, I'm getting my win totals done, as you know, trying to make my bets for the upcoming season. And there's dudes I didn't even know that transferred because they're so late in the game. So I'm glad that they've limited that from 45 to 30 days. Right. That's still enough time to figure out if you want to leave too, by the way, usually you want to leave before the portals. You know what I mean? There's something clicks in the season. Something's happening.
You've made your mind up in the season.
Yes, because you don't need that 30 days as a reminder. That portal window that we're talking about, that is the time to get into the portal. That is not the allotment that you have to commit to another team. So they don't go, oh, hey, you're in the portal. You got 30 days to get in the portal. You have 30 days to get in the portal and 30 days to commit to another team. No, you have 30 days, 30-day window to decide whether or not you're going to enter the portal, which I think is still that to me seems appropriate. I wouldn't even care if they shorten it from that, right? Because like you said, most guys are making that they're ready to move on probably during the middle of the season. But or they know what decision they're going to make. The coaching thing, the coaching rule change is the only rule change I do not like. That again, we're already seeing an imbalance because of NIL. We're seeing an imbalance because of you're seeing Chase Womack or Chance Womack was I think that's his first name. He was the head coach at South Alabama, and now he's an offensive coordinator at Alabama. Right? He left the head coaching gig to become a coordinator at a larger school. That happened every now and again back in the day, but it's much more prevalent now. Because
Ohio State did it too with Chip Kelly.
Yeah. No, I think that situation is a little different because Chip Kelly was. No, yeah, that's still an extreme because that shit just didn't happen, right? So I'll put it in the same category. Yeah. So that shit just wouldn't happen back in the day, and you're seeing that big money difference, right? You're seeing the haves and the have-nots. This coaching ability, not every team is going to be able to hire 20 people on their staff, right? I mean, if you look, Ohio State's got like 10 quality control guys. Now they're all official members. They're going to have a defensive line coach, an assistant defensive line coach. They're going to have a cornerbacks coach, an assistant cornerbacks coach, a safeties coach, assistant safeties coach. I mean, potentially that's what we're looking at. That's pretty wild, and I wouldn't necessarily mind it. But teams like Boise State, Akron, Kent State, they can't afford to do that. So you're kind of separating the haves and the have-nots. So I'm not a big fan of the coaching thing. I understand why the coaching federation or whatever the name of the AFCA fought for it. It presents more jobs to these coaches, so I understand it, but I just disagree with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think that at the end of the day, I don't think it's the on-field coaches don't change. This is just for practices, spring ball, winter conditioning, all that.
I think I think that these dudes can go.
They can.
I
didn't see that. I'm questioning it. I don't know. Because I didn't see anything. Because I read a couple of things and I did not see that on. So I just kind of assumed that it was status quo.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we should do a deeper dive. The interview that I saw that I was listening to some interviews with some coaches, and the theory was, well, they're going to just open the floodgates because if you're a head coach, you're not going to want 30 dudes to have a headset down on the sidelines. There's a point where it gets so watered down and distracting that you're not going to want that anyways. So they didn't feel the need to continue regulation on that. But maybe I'm wrong, right? I read shit that's wrong all the time. This just happened literally today. So I'm catching up on it today. So we'll if we're wrong, we'll definitely readjust and come back to it. Yeah, but that was
not 100% sure, but that's what everything that I saw never mentioned anything of that. So I just assumed that it was just running out the same. But either way, I'm kind of interested to see, what schools do what. Is Ohio State going to hire, a quarterback guru to coach the quarterback? So they're going to hire somebody to coach special teams because they don't have anybody specific to the special teams right now. It's kind of a group thing. I don't know. It's so new. I don't think any school has announced anybody getting elevated or anything like that. No. Maybe it just stays the same, and the job title, title and description change a little bit. So it's hard to say what's actually going to happen here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. We're really playing against. I think that if I had to make a guess on how it's going to change, instead of seeing guys like Joe Philbin, right? Because that's what you see primarily, right? Is like these old coaches that are kind of like, I still want to stay in the game, but I'm not going to be able to get a real gig. Bill O'Brien, guys like that. You know what I mean? Well, that's a bad example now. But back in the day, he was a quality control assistant, right? I think Mike Loxley was even a quality control assistant at Alabama before he got elevated to a real coaching staff. You see that a lot, right? I think instead you're going to see more guys. First of all, you're going to see those guys have more important titles now. When they're going to be on the field, they're going to have an impact. And then you're going to see more younger guys, right? You're going to see like, hey, I'm going to go hire, the Memphis offensive coordinator because he does a great job. And I'm going to give him a title. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing, man? Shout out to Jeremy for joining us here. But I think that you could see an impact as far as that goes. But again, I've been wrong before.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see because, like you said, the schools that have larger budgets are going to be able to pay these guys more. And I don't know how this is going to work. This is so new. I'm curious to see, what teams go for what guys, how they approach hiring you guys now.
Mhm.
And just it, and especially now, like to do it right now, like people already assume that they have jobs for the season and they're set. Are you going to be able to pull guys away from those certain jobs and hire them as, an assistant coach, or I guess not an assistant coach, but maybe a positional coach or something like that. So it it's like the wild, wild west of coaching. Right? You just don't know
Yeah,
what's going to go on.
yeah, and again, big shout out to Jeremy. Jeremy he works with On It. I saw him at the sign at the
Oh,
Cardinal
yeah.
Taste signing a couple weeks ago.
Hey,
Actually, so thanks for jumping on, Jeremy. Make sure you let us know any secretive news about On It when you get it. But yeah, I think that. So, because one of the questions that I heard was that they're like, well, what was you were allowed to have a bunch of quality control guys? What was
sure.
stopping what was stopping Ohio State from hiring MAC assistants to be quality control guys before? And my
Right.
thought process was, well, if you're a MAC, if you're a young up and coming riser in the MAC, you're not going to lead to be a quality control guy,
Right.
right? But
Right.
if they give you, you're
You
not
want to
going to,
rise. You
you
don't
want to
want
be
to
on the
step
field.
down.
You're not
Right.
coaching. You're not on the field. Yeah, that is a huge step down. But if you give a guy a title and they're on the field now and you can see what they're worth, right? They get a chance to show their
Different story.
medal or whatever. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a completely different story. That's at least in my eyes, right? So
Right. Yeah. It's going to be tough. I think that this one puts coaches in a bind as to who they elevate and who they don't. Some coaches are going to get mad about the fact that, oh, well, this one got elevated and they're not good enough and blah, 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 and all this. So I think it's good and I think it's bad. I do like the fact that you can go out and kind of hire whoever you want now. But on
yeah,
the other hand, it's like, since everybody's going to be technically a coach as opposed to, like you said, a quality assistant, quality
yes,
control assistant, or, an advisor, senior advisor, or whatever that may be. I think that, egos are very prevalent in the coaching world. And, I just I would hate to burn a bridge with a good coach, because they don't get that position title or whatever it may be. So, it's a fine line. And again, we're kind of in a wait and see about what actually happens. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. There's no access to coaches right now. I think the majority of coaches, especially with the recruiting dead period, aren't in front of people right now. Ryan Day
yes,
talked a little bit during camp season and official visit season. He met with the media at least twice during that time frame. But with the dead period starting, on Monday, there's no events where coaches are going to be in front of players or media members or anything like that. So, we're not going to get an answer for a little bit, and I'm curious to see whether or not actions speak louder than words, and we see, some coaches get moved or added to the staff or whatever it may be. So, it's out there, and we'll see how it works. But I think it could be good, and I think it could be bad.
yeah. Well, and I mean, it's definitely going to be good. I don't see a world in which it's bad for Ohio State, because Ohio State has more funds
Sure,
than, I mean, they're the top 5 in funds.
sure.
But it could be bad for a team like, we talked about Rice or South Florida or whatever. Another thing of note too, they did maintain that you could still only have like 11 active recruiters, or only
Okay.
11 guys, or that whatever the number was before, 10 or 11, whatever, that number has stayed the same. There was no increase. Yeah, there was no increase in recruiting coaches. So
Yeah, they had to, if you recall, they had to petition for James Laurinaitis to go out in the recruiting trail,
yes,
because they hadn't filled that position. Ultimately, he did get that position, but the NCAA wouldn't allow it if if Ohio State didn't say, "Hey, man, hey, we're short a coach to get in the road. Can we get a waiver to send Laurinaitis out? And it ultimately worked out in Ohio State's favor either way because he's, from what I've seen and what he's done a great job so far recruiting linebackers. And then on top of that, you know, he earned it.
Well,
he's done a good job.
And I'm cool with that rule too, because could you imagine the stuff that you could pull if you hire? I mean, at that point, you could just hire me to go out there and stop, Tavion St. Clair, just have knock on his door. Hello, you still a Buckeye? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that would get pretty crazy, pretty wild.
Oh, he's still
pretty
a Buckeye. So I saw some throws of him today at the Rivals camp, and oh boy, he's going to challenge for that. He's 100%. By the end of the recruiting cycle, when they finalize the rankings for the 25 class, he's going to be top 3, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe even one. He's that.
Yeah.
He's got a cannon for an arm, a frame that makes NFL, execs drool over. I mean, and the crazy part is he was a unknown when he committed to Ohio State. And I think he was ranked in like the 300. So they still knew about him, but not really. And, he's had a meteoric rise up to a 5-star recruit. He's viewed as one of the best players in the country. And wouldn't surprise me one bit for him to be the best player in the country when it's all said and done. So,
I think that he's a very underrated recruit because he plays at a small school. He plays at Bell Fountain, which is where over near where I grew up. I think they played like D4 ball. Sure. So you can be a 5-star. If you're a 5-star guy at that level, typically the highest rating you're going to see is a 3-star, right? You would see that all the time back in the day with Ohio State. They got shit. I think. Well, that's a bad example because Centerville's D1, but you get my point. You'd see that a lot. I think St. Henry's was kind of like that, a smaller school. Jim Lachey went there. Bobby Hoy went there. There's a couple guys that went to St. Henry's. Newark, there's a couple guys that went to Newark that were like that. But regardless, so that was kind of his deal. I think that he also could contend for the best player in the country. I know that a lot of Michigan fans, it's kind of funny because there's been a lot of Michigan people in my chat messaging me lately. I think it's because of our recruiting conversation. But the one thing that they keep commenting, I was like,
they haven't slid into my DMs.
Yeah, well, they're it's funny too because they were. I'm getting bitched at by them, and it's like, well, I wasn't even the one. I was complimenting Michigan, but someone was like,
that was definitely.
I know. I don't know. I think it's because I don't know. I don't know why they're reaching out. I mean, it's fine. It's just kind of funny because they're like, well, it doesn't matter how much talent they have. They've lost three times in a row. And I'm like, I said that on the podcast, by the way.
Right.
I was the one that said that. But anyway, so the Tavion St. Clair thing, people were messaging him. And they're like, the only reason that guy's a 5-star recruit is because he got the Buckeye bump. And the Buckeye bump is very real. I want to be very clear. It's because there's too many kids out there. Right. So, you see that a lot with these recruiting sites. Oh, hey, this kid got an offer from Miami. This kid got an offer from Georgia. There was a kid last year. The kid that he was rated as an athlete. He comes up to an Ohio State. Maybe it was Malik Hartford. I can't remember who it was, but he came up to Ohio State camp. They played him practiced him at defensive back. He gets an offer. Then he goes down to LSU. They also practice him at defensive back. Gets an offer. All of a sudden, he's a 4-star kid. You know what I mean? That stuff happens all the time. But there's also context to that, too, because Tavion St. Clair is going out to these camps. He's throwing dimes. And he played at a small school. So he's definitely getting the Buckeye bump they all do, but he's the real deal. I don't think it's not as prevalent. Yeah. I'm going to take that back. I don't think he's getting the Buckeye bump at all.
Oh, I could see that. I think he's the real deal too.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, part of his presence and the fact that you've got Julian Sayin, Aaron Noland, kind of sitting in the background on the roster. Ohio State's having a rough time recruiting a 26 quarterback. Right? You look at
who cares?
Well, I do though, because you want to continue to bring talent on talent. And I do think someone's going to transfer out. Maybe they can go to the portal and get somebody else. But, a good portion of the top 10 quarterbacks in that class have committed. And the remaining guys who are uncommitted aren't highly considering Ohio State. So you might see a year where they might not take a quarterback, which I think is kind of crazy because I think that every year, Ryan Day does want to take a quarterback, and he's shown that. And sometimes he takes multiple quarterbacks. So it's going to be interesting to see how 26 shakes out. I do think, obviously, with all these early commitments, there are chances for flips. But, at the end of the day, man, you look at that depth chart and you got to believe that some of those 26 kids in their ear, people in their ear, man, you're not going to play at Ohio State for 3 years. You're not going to play at Ohio State for 3 years. So I do think that it is, the elite recruiting is hurting them. I think you're seeing it in the 25 class with wide receivers. Although, don't get me wrong, I'm very excited about the receivers that they have committed at the current moment. But you're talking about like a Jamie French, Vernell Brown, what's his name? Taylor. All these top guys aren't really considering Ohio State anymore. And I think it has to do with the depth chart, how young those guys are too. I think 26 will turn around. They've already got the top receiver, one of the top players in the country, Chris Henry Jr. committed. I think that, the 25 class, if you have been paying a lot of attention to it, is the focus, a lot of it is on the trenches. They're going after a lot of defensive linemen, a lot of offensive linemen. Unfortunately, they've struck out on some of those linemen because, Josh Fry sucks. Or Justin. He sucks. I can't even get his name right because he sucks. But there's a and they're going for a lot of defensive backs as well because they assume that some of these guys are going to be leaving early. On top of that, so the focus on the 25 class for Ohio State is significantly different than what we've normally seen. We're not going to get. I don't think we'll end up having a 5-star wide receiver. They had 2 5-star receivers in the last class in 24. So I just the expectations that they can continue to stack are still there, and they are getting. Again, I am very happy with the wide receivers that they have committed. I think all of them are very good players. I just believe that there are some, especially in this current class, in the 25 class and 26 to some degree, there are some ramifications of how well Ohio State has recruited at certain positions, and that's why they're not getting the super elite guys to come to Columbus. But again, they're still getting damn good players. Let's be real. They're still getting really good players.
Yeah, so you covered a couple topics there, but let me summarize and tell you why I don't care at all. So the quarterback, we're talking about first of all, when you talk about the quarterback, you are not the only person that has mentioned their attitude or their worry towards the quarterback class of 2026. Oh, they're not going to get one. They're not going to get one. I've heard that before. A couple people have reached out to me and my thoughts about it. I think because I wrote that article about the kid that went to Michigan.
Yep.
I don't care.
A day after he got an Ohio State offer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really.
Brady Hart, I believe.
Yes. There you go. That was just an article I wrote. I don't really care, and I keep telling people. First of all, I said a lot on this podcast, and perhaps I need to say it more in my writing. I don't take stock in recruiting until pen meets paper, let alone a position, let alone a year in advance. Okay, we're talking about a year in advance. Ryan Day could be fired by this time next year if Ohio State gets their ass kicked by Michigan.
If you have your way.
Yeah, God, I hope not. But we just don't know what's going to happen. Right? Nick Saban, Urban Meyer could come out of retirement, go to Wisconsin. Who knows what's going to happen? Right? Maybe he comes out of retirement, comes off the corner. I don't know. But we're talking about that's a year in advance. And we're talking about a position where if we look back at the recruiting class from 4 years ago, none of the top 10 quarterbacks are from the same school. Sure. None of them. I think like 9. Maybe that's not true. I think 9 of them have transferred to different schools.
Sure.
Right? You look at it. You look at the playoffs last year. Two of the four playoff teams had transfer quarterbacks.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then one of the teams refilled with another transfer quarterback. You know what I mean? And DJ Ukulele, it's just that's a position that's always going to be in flux. And you're talking about a team who has a transfer quarterback. You're talking about a team right now that has all these 5-star guys and a 4-star in Devin Brown. And what they do, they went out to the transfer portal and got a 3-star. A guy who's a 3-star. So I don't really give a shit. I mean, and as far as the wide receivers go, I don't think that what Ohio State also needs to do is develop, right? And there is history of that. You know, Olave was not a super highly rated guy. Yeah. He, you know, maybe French 4. I don't remember. He was not Jeremiah Smith. He was not Garrett Wilson.
Right.
There have been other guys that were Terry McLaurin was not a super highly rated guy.
Yep.
Another. I think he was a 3-star too. There have been guys that have been very productive that weren't highly rated guys, and there's
proofs in the pudding right there. I mean,
yeah. So there's a couple there. I think that Brian Hartline's doing the right thing, pivoting the way he is. He offered that the kid that plays quarterback for Mansfield or whatever,
right?
The kid from I can't remember where he's
from.
Ping
Miller.
There you go, Miller. Yes. He plays quarterback, came down to Ohio State camp. Hartline picked him out and said, "Hey, man, you're tall, you're fast, you're not going to play quarterback in college. Come check out, play some wide receiver." He dominated.
Just watch. I mean, I watched some of those clips from that Ohio State camp, and I saw exactly why they did that.
Whatever, yeah, and that's my point, right? So just because they're not getting the top guy every year, I don't care at all. I'm not worried. The transfer portal is also an option for that position too. You know, it is what it is, man. Ohio State has the freedom to pretty much do whatever they want and then address whatever they can't fix in the portal. So I'm not gonna worry about the recruiting class at all. Right now, it's shaping up to be a good one. That's all I really care about.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be.
Make sure it counts.
I mean, it's definitely going to be a really good one. I was looking at Twitter to see if any breaking news happened, and Tavion St. Clair apparently won the MVP for the Rivals camp today. So
he's the man.
Again, we're hyping him up. We're going to continue to hype him up. Dude is arguably one of the more talented quarterbacks that you'll see come through Columbus. He's got to obviously have to, transfer it over to the field, when he gets here. But man, he is going to be fun to watch. A lot of people are saying he's Justin Fields' body with CJ Stroud's arm, and I think we would all take that.
The Justin Fields comparison, I don't know. I'm going to go see him in person.
I think Fields is faster. Fields is 100%.
Fields was just.
Well, we're talking about frame. We're talking about frame wise here.
Man, I mean, Justin Fields is one of the greatest high school players of all time. I mean, that guy was just. I mean, he was just ferocious, man.
He was awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, you got to kind of remember that stuff. The CJ Stroud comparison, sure, because I don't remember people pissing all over themselves. People pissed all over themselves to get Justin Fields. Justin Fields was a pretty.
Well, Stroud was a late bloomer as well. He really came on his senior year. That's when Day saw enough. Right, clearly he made the right decision there by offering him and getting
Stroud's great. I'm not bashing Stroud. I'm just saying we're talking about as a pure recruit, right? Just like when we talk about pure wide receiver recruits, Julian Fleming is right up there with Jeremiah Smith. I know that they're college careers,
which is crazy,
but they are. That's That's what it was.
Yeah, no, they're both they're both 5 stars. Yeah, no,
not just 5 stars. Julian Fleming was heralded as the next OBJ. Like he was supposed to be something special. I mean, he was up in that tier. Tavion St. Clair, I think, is going to be up in that tier, but Justin Fields was fucking unworldly, dude. I mean, unworldly.
Yeah, him and Trevor Lawrence, they battled it out for 1-2, all season long. I think they went to high school like less than a half hour away from each other, but they never faced each other because they were in different divisions in Georgia. But yeah, it's St. Clair's going to go down as one of the better recruits that Ohio State's going to get. I mean,
yes,
he's a consensus 5-star across all of the majority of. I kind of exclude ESPN because I feel like they're the worst of the big 4 recruiting services. But everybody else, Rivals has one as a 5-star. 247 has one as a 5-star. On3 has one as a 5-star. I think he's like a top 50 player. I believe he's a top 50 player in ESPN's. They just updated their rankings, and I only looked at it once, and I didn't necessarily look at where everyone was. I just kind of like saw real quick glanced at it. So yeah, I think that when push comes to shove, that young man is he's going to come in with a ton of hype. A ton of hype.
Yes. Jeremy says Ohio State looking great already. I can't wait to see the first game. Yeah, me too, Jeremy. Me too. Another quarterback with that kind of hype, Torrance Gibson. But I'm just throwing that out there.
Gibson. Well, wasn't he an athlete? Wasn't he an athlete though, coming out of high school? I don't think they actually ever said he was a quarterback. I think he was an athlete coming out.
He played quarterback in that All-American game, though.
He played quarterback, but he also played wide receiver as well. So
not in that All-American game.
Right. But I'm saying like he played wide receiver. Let's.
Dude, all I know is that Torrance Gibson had an insane amount of hype around him. No, yeah, 24/7 Sports recruiting ranking, dual threat quarterback. Yeah, man, he had a ton of hype.
Huh. And he just fizzled out.
He had some off the field. He had some off the field issues. He's still hanging around. He's in the indoor football league, baby.
Oh, is he?
He's playing quarterback in the indoor football league too. Tucson Sugar Skulls.
Interesting.
Shout out Sugar Skulls.
That's very interesting. Yeah, Yeah, I mean
he plays on the same team
awesome.
as. What'd you say?
He was awesome as a recruit.
Yes, yeah, he's on the same team as DeMario McCall and Jalen Marshall at the Tucson Sugar Skulls in the indoor football league. Yeah. He transferred out to Cincinnati, and then I don't think he was academically eligible, and then he went to like a community college in Mississippi. I think he went to the Last Chance U plays, and then he tried to go to Troy or something. I don't remember. His life was very much in the same vein as Deron Carter. But Deron Carter ended up found his groove in the CFL and had a very, 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 very good professional career. Torrance Gibson was unable to do that. He went up to the CFL, did not last very long. He actually kind of has struggled to stay relevant in the indoor football league because he plays quarterback and wide receiver. He's Verlon Reed has had a more successful indoor football league career at quarterback than Torrance Gibson.
Verlon Reed, wow.
Yes.
Pulled that one out of nowhere.
There you go. Fun fact, there's your little Ohio State arena football history there.
Oh, yes. There is.
Yes.
I mean, I remember Gibson coming as an ad, but with the intention of playing him with, even if 247 Sports had him as a dual. I believe that they were like, well, we're going to start you at quarterback, and then we may move.
Maybe. I remember very clearly people calling him the left-handed Terrell Pryor.
He was just too slight to be a left-handed Terrell Pryor. I mean, TP came in and he was huge already.
Well, I think the
TP looked like a linebacker.
That's true. That's true.
He came in 215.
But there's been a lot of quarterback. But that also goes to show you that you kind of have to have a wait and see attitude with these recruits. Tate Martell. I mean, if you go back and watch Tate Martell's high school tape, dude, you can't tell me that
back-to-back national championships in Gorman, I believe.
Dude was a straight baller. I thought for sure he'd beat out Fields, dude. That guy was like,
so little though. Like he's
Ohio State got him. I know. I'm not saying you're wrong, but these things that you're saying were wrong with them. Ohio State, they were still 4 or 5 star recruits that Ohio State still offered. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those things that you're talking about. Yeah, those things that you're talking about end up being right. I mean, that's what held Tate Martell back. Torrance Gibson, his stuff was more off the field issues. I think he flunked out of like his first class and stuff.
He got suspended and then
there was a lot of weird
and then just never.
Yeah, it was like a Deron Carter situation. It didn't work out for him academically, so we don't really know what would have happened. Tate Martell was never gonna be a quarterback at a major school.
No.
But my point is that there's just guys like that. Sean Mockerman from the 90s. I think he was a big 4 or 5 star guy that John Cooper brought in.
God, he was
from
so
California. Bad. I didn't say it was 4. I mean, that's before my time. We're talking about like the recruiting class like 93. So I'm not going to act
yeah.
like
No,
a
I
play, but I
remember
know that
him.
he was there for
I
1 year.
I remember him playing. It wasn't so great.
Well, he transferred out, ended up breaking a shit ton of records at like Colorado Wesleyan or wherever the hell he went. But I don't know. That's before my time.
Right.
I think it was like a B2 school.
So, yeah, I think Steve. I want to say Steve Balisari beat him out.
No, dude, Steve Balisari. Well, maybe
was that a couple years later?
You might be right because that Mockerman dude was in the same recruiting class as Kenyon Rambo, so that would have been right around the same time as Balisari. Right. So they're older than Balisari, but best because Balisari was in there. No, yeah, that might be the same recruiting class.
No, I think it was
a year after.
I think they both they played because Cooper played them both 1 year to see who he really wanted as a starter, and they ultimately chose Balisari, and I remember Marmon not being very good at all.
Well, either way, recruiting. Balisari was another 4 or 5 star guy.
Yeah,
before.
And I think he came in as an athlete as well, right? Because didn't he play safety his first year?
I don't know. I don't know. If you talk to Derek Combs, they played. Derek Combs said they played quarter. He played quarterback immediately.
Okay. Then I'll take Derek Combs' word for it because he was there. Don't take my word for it because that was I think that was my freshman year of college when Balisari was the quarterback in '99. I think that was I think that was his final year.
His final year would have been 2000.
Was it 2000? Okay.
Because I think he was drafted in the 01 draft. I think he was drafted in the same draft as like Nate Clements and Ryan Pickett.
Okay, so he had 2 years. Two years of farm.
Yeah.
I remember going to games and wondering why is this dude not playing safety.
In his senior year, I believe Craig Krenzel was his backup. I think.
Yeah, because Krenzel took over the next year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They should have went back to back, but Mo C decided to go wild on us.
And then Justin Zwick was another former 4 or 5 star rated guy.
Oh yeah, I saw Zwick in high school in Massillon.
Yep.
Went out to a game in Massillon, and he looked like a world beater. He looked awesome. He was. I mean, that's the thing, though. You get an elite athlete going up against high school players who just aren't going to make it to the next level, and they should look good.
Well, Massillon though, you can't really say about Matt. He was at Waldo, and then which was like a small school, but then he went to Massillon. But Massillon's like a big school. Massillon, they played Kent McKinley and shit like that. Mike Dawson, and all in there, and there's a shit ton of guys that So it's not like he didn't. Was he playing Glenville? No, but were they Glenville? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Massillon's no joke though. Massillon
Massillon's and it's a damn good program too.
Yeah,
they're always pretty solid.
Yeah, sometimes those moral of the story, the recruiting rankings, you just gotta wait for them to develop, man.
Yeah,
very few.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, some of them they hit, some of them they don't. I mean, look at the 5-star ratio, of guys who are 5 stars that fizzle out and just don't ever do anything.
I think that most 5 stars are at least. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, not all of them, man. Not all of them.
Yeah, you're right. I was gonna say at least 5. I was gonna say at least. I was gonna say I think most 5 stars are at least average, but I guess that's not really true either. Sometimes they fucking blow.
Sometimes they're just bigger and badder than everybody else at the high school level, and when they get to play guys who are just as strong and just as fast as them,
they can't.
It's a whole different ballgame. Yeah, it really is. It really is. So we can
certainly do a show where we talk about the hits and. I mean, Mike DeAndre's got to be up there. I know he dealt with some injuries.
He was. I remember watching his highlight films. Man, he was supposed to be
I think AJ Hawk is the one that bumped him out, and they were like, "You're done."
Yeah, because AJ was a 3-star too, I believe.
Yeah, AJ was not highly recruited. I believe the story goes that they went down to recruit Nick Mangold, and AJ Hawk was. They were like, "Whoa, who the hell is that guy?"
Centerville, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think Mike Nugent was also a part of that Centerville crew.
Yeah, the Elks. And they had a squad.
Was also
they had a squad. I mean, not with Herbie there, but The Centerville was good back in the day. This was actually I had one of my buddies from college went to Centerville, and he's like, man, those guys were just so good. Yeah, they were really good. I mean, you had three Ohio State guys on one team, and you're not going to lose a lot of games. So, but yeah, I think that would be a good one for us to go back as far as we can and go through the recruiting classes and see whether or not those 5 stars lived up to their billing, because I don't think all of them do. You've got a lot of them that just kind of fizzle out and end up Lawrence Gibson's a good example. I don't think he was a 5-star. I think he was a 4-star. But still, you're talking about a guy who everyone would have taken, like across the nation, everyone would have taken.
Yes.
But what do you end up doing?
Man. There's a shit ton. I mean, Mike Mitchell. You remember that linebacker from Texas? He was another guy. He transferred out to Texas Tech, and then he went to TCU. This was before the day and age of the transfer portal. I think he kept using the waiver thing. I don't think he did any. I don't think he ended up starting a whole season of football for the 4 colleges he played with.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, Tommy Schutt was another really highly rated defensive guy, defensive tackle, and he was okay. He finished up his career at Ohio State, but he was not. He was supposed to be the shit. You remember that was like the recruiting showdown of that year. Was he going to go to Ohio State? Was he going to go to Penn State?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember that too. We're closing in an hour, Josh. We want to hold off on the remainder of the Big Ten over-unders until next week. I know we tried to get it in today, but
bitch, you hate it. You hit it. Well, I'm going to do one team.
No, I did it. I did it. Here, look. I will show you. I did it. There you go. I did it.
You did? Okay.
I went through and I did it. I was ready.
We're gonna do one team. We're gonna do one team.
Okay, let's do one team. Who we got here?
Because it's my favorite team. I think they're gonna be the 10th ranked team in the Big Ten. That's where we left off, right? The first 9. Yeah.
Sure.
We're in 10. Northwestern Wildcats. I got them 7-5. Okay.
7-5.
Let's go through their schedule real quick. Miami, Ohio, win. Duke, win.
Loss.
Eastern Illinois.
Ooh.
You think they're going to lose to
disagree.
Duke? Duke loses Riley Leonard and their head coach.
Okay.
Fuck. I'll put money on that right now. We'll put that down. We'll write that down as a little bet. Eastern Illinois. So Eastern Illinois win. Okay.
Win.
Washington loss.
Yes.
Okay.
Indiana
win.
Ooh, I got them losing to Indiana. I think Indiana's like my sleeper team this year.
And I feel like Indiana's got probably the best coach in the Big Ten with Curtis Signetti. I just don't think that's enough time for them to develop that. So I'm with you on the upswing of Indiana. I just think it's too early. Maryland, this is the first 50-50 game where I was like, I don't know. I have them winning Maryland, though.
I have them losing. I have them losing.
That's fair.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row in the middle of the season. They don't get another from Eastern Illinois to Purdue. I think they lose all.
You think they lose to Purdue?
Yeah. No, I think they win. I think they beat Purdue. But everyone in between that.
That's not.
But everyone in between that, I think they lose to. I don't think they beat Maryland.
The Maryland game, I have 50-50. Okay, well, let me ask you, you have them beating Illinois, though, right?
No.
So what's your record on them?
3 wins.
3 wins?
3-9. I can't buy into that program. I just can't.
Really?
They
even after what they did last year?
They overperformed last year.
In an emergency situation.
Yeah, they overperformed.
Well, so you're telling me that even he was thrown to the wolves and he rose to the flames like a phoenix, and you're telling me that was just luck?
Yeah.
God damn! I'm not gonna lie. This is my favorite bet of the offseason. Their win total is 4.5. Yeah.
I didn't even need to look at it. I didn't even look at it. I'd take the under.
You'd bet on the under. You'd put money on it. Write this down. We'll argue. We're gonna argue about this during the season.
I'd take the under.
I don't think Northwestern's good, but you think that they're just fucking garbage. What do you have to like? Is that like your worst team in the Big Ten?
One of the worst, yeah. Purdue, I think Purdue's in for a really, really bad season.
Fuck yeah.
I think Rutgers is in for a bad season. Who else
The
do I have?
Rutgers thing, I think that you're crazy for the Northwestern thing. I can get because that's a
Minnesota.
little bit of
I have Minnesota gonna have a bad season.
that's fair. The Rutgers thing, though, like I'm cool with you thinking Northwest because I don't think Northwestern's good either. We just
Oh, it's
disagree about the
Illinois. Illinois was my sleeper. What's the over under on that lineup?
5.5.
I'd take over on that. I got him with
Really?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got him with 7 wins.
How the fuck is that possible? Let me pull that up.
So, all right, let's do this. This will be our last one. So,
well, no, we hit the hour mark. So we want to save Illinois for next week.
Yeah, we could save it. But
okay.
I would take the. We'll start off with the Atlanta.
Because I strongly disagree about Illinois. So we'll save it for next week. I strongly
think
disagree.
Brett Bielema is a really good coach.
See, you think he's a really good coach?
Yeah.
Okay.
He inherited
there's so much to unpack here.
He inherited a shit situation.
No, let me ask you this.
Starting to turn it around. They're getting better recruits. They're like they are. Trust me, they are.
Are they?
Yes, compared to the previous regime, yeah.
Lovie Smith always recruited well.
No, he didn't.
He always get 2 or 3 guys. Isaiah Williams, he would always get 2 or 3 guys. I mean, he was one that got was it Chase Brown, the running back? That was a Lovie Smith guy.
Yeah, but wasn't Chase like a 3-star though? I'm talking like a couple.
Yeah, that was huge for Illinois.
Yeah, I don't. They're not 3 and 2-star
players. I think that Brett. I think that Brett Bielema. I think Brett Bielema's a good coach. I think he's top. I think he's in the upper tier of the Big Ten. But sure. I think that Brett Bielema is good enough to get you bowl eligible. I don't think he's good enough to upset anybody. So I mean, I guess that's the big question. I guess I don't even. So you got Illinois winning 7 games. I got Illinois winning 3. So really, when we're talking about,
that's a big gap then.
See, that's why the bottom of the Big Ten is so because our first 9 teams were pretty similar. The only teams that we had that were not together was I liked Rutgers and you liked Washington. That's the only difference. But our bottom half, it's already fucked up. I mean, we agreed on every single team in the upper half, other than Rutgers, I believe. Right. Oh wait, no,
yeah, pretty much. We were close. Right.
I think you were over on USC too.
Yeah.
Right. 7.5. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was under. But whatever. All right, we'll keep Illinois for next week. But that's interesting.
All right. Sounds good. Well, make sure you like, follow, subscribe on that YouTube. We need that YouTube love. Make sure that you are reading both of our content on Buckeyes Wire. We're posting on a very regular basis, so make sure you don't miss anything over there. Anything else, Josh?
No, man. I'm trying to get through the last of the scouting reports for this recruiting class with my schedule, but slowly but surely. Just did the Armstrong twins.
That one did well.
Yeah, did all right. Follow me on Twitter, Josh Keatley 16, and we'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good. See you next week. Go Bucks.